What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you're having a good Thursday today. A bunch of stuff actually is supposed to be happening today. The Atari box is supposed to go into full effect with their crowdsourcing on Indiegogo, so we'll see if that actually happens. And of course, Yooka-Laylee came out today on the Switch, and I'm having fun with it so far, so if you check it out, let me know. I am curious what your take is on it as well. But we do have some stuff to talk about today that took place yesterday. We got some more news about Metal Gear Survive. Actually, it looks a little better than I thought it would look. Doesn't really look too much like Metal Gear. And then we got some stuff around Rocket League, including a physical edition and a patch. Let's get started. So Rocket League was supposed to get a physical edition at some point. They kept hinting at it, talking about it, saying, yeah, we'll probably do a physical edition later. And it kind of kept, me anyway, I was hesitant to buy it right away digitally because I knew a physical edition would show up at some point. But I still bought into it because I like Rocket League. I thought the idea of it being portable was a pretty cool idea. Unfortunately, well, the resolution in portable mode can get pretty low when it dynamically scales as it needs. And that was kind of an issue. The good news here is that they did release a patch at least to address that issue. First, though, let's talk about the announced Collector's Edition. That's right. There's going to be a physical edition of Rocket League, and we all kind of thought this was going to happen. I haven't seen anything about box shots or anything else, but it is going to come with a couple things. It's going to come with a bunch of car DLC packs, major DLC packs, Supersonic DLC packs going to be there. Then, of course, the physical copy of the game in cartridge form. Now, they did say it's going to be $10 more than the PS4 and the Xbox One version, and they do outline it on their blog as being the cost of the cart being more expensive to manufacture than just the Blu-ray discs that they put out on the Xbox One and the PS4. It's something I think most Switch owners have gotten used to at this point, where it's generally $10 more for a physical copy. We saw it with LA Noire, for example, very recently, and the same holds true with Rocket League. Now, I think a lot of us already have it. I don't know if I really want to buy into a physical copy now because really the digital one at $20 is a good deal. The Switch physical copy is going to be $40. That's pushing it a little more, I think. Now, it does at least come with DLC that can make up that cost, but I think that most of us who have bought it digitally already don't really feel a need to go get it, I assume, physically at this point. I really don't know why I would, and I'm not sure if anyone else would. If you're going to go buy it physically after buying it digitally, let me know down in the comments why you're going to do that, or if it's just not appealing to you because you already have it digitally. Now, for those of us who already own the game, well, a patch came out yesterday, and it addresses some of the performance issues, specifically around the resolution, and this was posted over on their blog with their patch notes, and they talked about a few things. They adjusted the world detail to improve the average resolution in handheld mode. We'll come back to that in a second. They optimized maps for the Switch and PC, including Utopia Stadium and Farmstead, and they improved the field texture visuals for different maps, including the Champions Field and Wasteland. Now, they talk about the average resolution. We've talked about it. It's a dynamic scaling resolution. A lot of stuff happens on screen. Resolution drops. It got pretty low at times. People were posting pictures of it. Yeah, it would fall. I don't know how far it was falling because I didn't see if Digital Foundry did a video on it or not. I don't think they did. But it looked like it fell pretty low. I mean, it was kind of tough at times to see like the actual ball looked like a little blob on screen half the time. Very pixelated mess. But after the patch went live, people are saying that it at least looks better, that it doesn't drop as low in resolution. Seems they may have toned some of the other details down a bit. I haven't really got a chance to look at it with a magnifying glass or anything at this point, but it seems like they at least are addressing some of these issues, and that was pretty fast. I mean, they got that patch out a couple weeks or so after it came out, you know, like 3 or 4 weeks. So it's happening pretty quick. I'm happy with that, and I'll check it out a little more. I played a few matches in handheld mode. Didn't really notice anything crazy different. I guess it didn't drop as much, but usually when I'm playing Rocket League, I have less time to enjoy the scenery because I'm trying to keep the ball out of my goal and put it in the opponent's. So I'm not sure if it's easier for some people to spot this stuff, but when I'm playing Rocket League, I'm pretty much eyes forward. Next up, let's jump over to Media Create. Sales numbers came out yesterday. Like I said, every Thursday we'll talk about these as we do because it shows us a good picture of how things are pretty much received by the Japanese audience as we get week-to-week numbers for hardware and games. Let's jump over to the games first. These are the top 10 here, with Yakuza right at the top, as I and most would expect that it's a pretty popular game in Japan. 131,000 done by Sega on the PS4. Earth Defense Force 5, look at that, right in there at 111,000, also on the PS4. So the PS4 took the top top 2 spots this past week. 3DS with, of course, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, as we would expect, still hanging in there. There, of course, is that other Trainers Pack as well. That's at 106,000. Mario Odyssey at number 4, Splatoon 2, number 5, and then down from there, Mario Kart 8, Kamen Rider, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Kirby Battle Royale, and then the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild rounding out the top 10. Moving over to systems, the Nintendo Switch at the top, 164,000. That's about a 40,000 jump. Yeah, actually 40,200 or so jump from last week. So big number there. I was expecting over 200,000 with Media Creates, but still, that's a nice step up. We are expecting more going forward since Nintendo said they're going to be shipping more than ever to Japan after their press release yesterday. The PS4, 85,687. We're going to talk about that for a minute, why that number is so large. 3DS at 45,573. The Vita, 8,483. Wow, good for the Vita there. The Xbox One, 481, so it's still sticking up above average. Wii U at 70 and the PS3 at 48. The split on the PS4 is the most interesting thing, which we'll get to here in a second. PS4 Pro, 45,000. The PS4, 40,000. This is one of the first times I've ever seen the PS4 Pro outsell the base model. And the reason for that is because the Monster Hunter Special Edition PS4 Pro came out that same week. So that really boosted those sales overall, and of course the revenue brought in from those consoles. And yeah, the Monster Hunter bundle, I really like the look of that console. It's just a special edition for Monster Hunter World, but man, does it look cool. I understand why it sold well. It's limited. They're going to sell out, and it's going to boost PS4 sales as we saw there. The Switch, of course, still at the top. The Switch is going to own Japan for a long time. Like, it's always, if it's not at the top at this rate, it's a big deal. It's news, right? If it's not at the top, it's less news when it's always up there. Even with the PS4 having the Monster Hunter Special Edition, they just couldn't provide enough units of those to push it over the top. The regular model still sold 40,000, probably because Yakuza was out this past week and it's very popular there. Otherwise, I mean, the Switch is going to own Japan. At this rate, though, I will say it's pretty interesting here. The PS4 is coming up on the Vita's lifetime sales, and it will probably pass it either next week or the week after. Well, this week we'll get reported sales for, next week when we get that. In the next 2 weeks or so of reported numbers, it will probably pass the Vita, and that's a pretty big deal. The Vita, while it didn't do very well anywhere else in the world, it was strong in Japan, as we see here, since it's taken this long for the PS4 to pass it. That really shows how strong handheld systems are in Japan at this point, and really shows why the Switch has a lot of potential in front of it in Japan, possibly to even touch 3DS numbers. And the 3DS currently, if you look at it, sits at 23.5 million units life to date. So I don't see why the Switch couldn't reach that. Next up, let's talk about Titan Quest, because it's being brought over to consoles. I kind of talked about this a little bit. I actually had a point where I put it in a news wave and I took it back out because there was a rumor of Gamefly posting it. And usually it's really interesting. Whenever I see Gamefly post something and it becomes a rumor, it almost always turns out to be true. It's very weird. I don't know if they just get good information and then they decide to post, really, I guess, an image or a placeholder for it when they're not supposed to. Titan Quest was posted by Gamefly as a Switch game, and an Xbox One and PS4, and it's coming to all three of them. This is happening next year. Now, the PS4 and the Xbox One versions are coming March 20th, 2018, so they have a set date, whereas the Switch is, in the way they put it, it'll come out when it's done, essentially. It'll come out when it's ready. So they don't really have a time or a date for that, even within, I assume it's in 2018 at some point. More than likely, the Switch was kind of tacked on here in development, mid-development, to come over. Because Titan Quest, while it's an older game, it's from 2006 on the PC. I really like that game, by the way. Back then, I actually upgraded my video card from an old NVIDIA 5200 GT. I think I upgraded to a 6600 GT, I think, and that was so I could play Titan Quest because it ran super slow on that really old card. Ran better there, and then I got my 800 GT and it ran way better. But the big thing here is Titan Quest is very similar to, it's like a Diablo style game. So that's going to be one of the first games like that with that kind of depth, because the character creation system, super deep. The game overall, tons of hours can go into this. That's going to be one of the first games like that the Switch has had. Again, depending on when it comes out, because I'm sure there are some other indie games that might be able to beat Titan Quest to the Switch, but that is a big-time game that the Switch is going to get here. Now, it's going to have the Immortal Throne expansion, but it's not going to have the game's newest Ragnarok expansion. That's the one that just came out last month. So a few weeks ago that came out, and kind of really people were like, whoa, where did this come from? Because it released out of nowhere. But there is going to be online co-op for up to 6 people, and they're going to remaster the visuals, kind of to bring it up to date, if you will, to 2017, right? 2018, I guess, when that comes out, because that's 12 years after it originally came out on PC. It was still a pretty good looking game then, because you could turn all the settings up, anti-aliasing, all this stuff. But coming up to like the PS4 and the Xbox One, it of course has way more horsepower than what we had back then 12 years ago. So I'm excited. I just want to see how they're going to adapt this to really the controller. I mean, we're used to using a mouse and keyboard with this game, like a Diablo style, and they did adapt Diablo 3 pretty well to the controller. I'm going to be curious if we have like a way to dodge pretty easily, like we can with Diablo, where they kind of map that to the stick, where you can just kind of just roll around. I don't know if they'll do something like that, because it's a little slower than what Diablo 3 is, but it's going to be pretty neat. I'm excited. There's a lot of depth to this game. I love the addition of online co-op. I want to see if maybe they can do some cross-play. I don't see why that wouldn't be possible, minus, of course, PlayStation's weird issues there. But cross-play between the PC, the Switch, and the Xbox with 6 people online, that would be really cool. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Metal Gear Survive. We might as well. This has been kind of catching a lot of flack because it doesn't look like a Metal Gear game at all. Like, I look at it and I say, I don't even know what this is exactly, because Metal Gear, from what I know Metal Gear as, is always that game that kind of mixed like real world events and politics and kind of blurred the line between that and fiction, right? I mean, there was this thing going around on Twitter, I think, the other day, where they were pointing at like the conversation Raiden was having with the Colonel and everything, and they were like, look how close this is to now. And it was very eerie, but that's one of the reasons I like the game so much, because it really made us think of real life events, and then they blurred it with like fictional characters and everything. It was really cool. But then I look at this game, and immediately they're being sucked into a wormhole after Ground Zeroes, and they're going into like an alternate dimension where there are essentially zombies that you fight. But nonetheless, Konami released this interesting gameplay trailer with commentary for single player. It was like a 5-minute trailer. It was very long, but they go over all the different features of the game. And I will say this about the game. It's catching a lot of flack, but the game itself, if you just pretend it's not Metal Gear, does not look like a bad game so far. I haven't played it. I can't tell you completely how it plays, but just looking at it, looks like it has a lot to it. It's going to have survival. You build a base. It looks like you collect people like you did in Metal Gear Solid 5, kind of. It looks like you build up an establishment and you basically try to survive, like it says in the title. It's going to have a beta, though. And this is where I'm kind of happy, because I was worried it would come out. It's not due out till February 20th, but I was worried it was going to come out and we would just be stuck with, okay, here you go for it, spend $60 and hope you like it. No, we're going to get a beta. It's for the PS4 and the Xbox One only. It's going to leave out the PC January 18th for the beta. And I want to try it out. It's going to be cool that we can do that. But I don't know. This game, it just doesn't look like a Metal Gear game. I know it's not called Metal Gear Solid at all. It's just called Metal Gear Survive. But it just looks like they're taking a lot of liberties with it. Even Kojima himself is like, that's not Metal Gear. You're putting zombies and stuff in it. And you're making it very cookie cutter, kind of to how we're used to now with some of these games. And it's weird because I mentioned this before. Metal Gear was always the one to set the standard for an awesome story adventure, like a great story telling type game, right? Metal Gear Solid 4, while the cutscenes were long, they were very interesting. There's a lot going on, and I love that story. You really get sucked into it. And this just looks like it's going to be like kind of run and gun action. I'm sure there are people who like it, but it seems like they're moving more towards trying to be part of the Call of Duty scene rather than try to kind of make their own way and be more the Metal Gear Solid that we all remember. I think it's clear that they lost Kojima, who was definitely a big part of Metal Gear as we're seeing now. So I'll try it. I'll go in with an open mind, but I don't know if it's all action and the story is as wacky as it looks, where you get sucked into a wormhole. I don't know how interested I'm going to be, but it might open up to newer audiences that didn't like the old Metal Gear Solid. So, let me know what you guys think about Metal Gear Survive and if it's going to be a game for you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, guys. It really helps. If you didn't hit a dislike, and definitely leave comments down below and let me know what you think about all the stuff we talked about today, whether it's the sales in Japan with the Switch leading heavily again, basically just about doubling the PS4 sales once again. But in this case, the PS4 actually had quite a few console sales because of the Monster Hunter bundle, more than likely, or at least the special edition. I think it really helped. And then, of course, Yakuza also launching that same week, probably selling a lot of base units that way. And then also let me know your feelings on Rocket League coming out physically after maybe you bought it digitally already. Is that kind of a deal breaker? Or do you wish these companies would be a little more transparent about it? Hey, we're definitely coming out with a physical copy, and maybe it'll have this, this, and this, but, buy it digitally too. I don't know. There are times where I wish I could have bought it physically, although I think In terms of Rocket League, I think I'm okay with getting it digital because I pretty much have it digitally on everything else, so I'm used to it. But who knows, with other indie games, I might have been more interested in buying in like Axiom Verge. Love that physical copy. It's an awesome copy. That's something I would have been more inclined to wait for that. So let me know your guys' feelings on that with the physical version coming out much later after they've sold plenty of the digital one. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.